October 14th, 1943, 1,100 hours over Holland. First Lieutenant Robert Hayes, age 24, watches the P-47 Thunderbolts waggle their wings and turn west toward England. Fuel tanks empty. Range limit reached. The escorts disappear into clouds, leaving 291 bombers alone in enemy airspace. Target Schweinfurt ball-bearing factories deep inside Germany. Same target that killed 60 bombers 2 months ago. Bobby touches the photograph taped to his instrument panel. Kate holding baby Helen, taken 6 months before deployment. Her smile frozen in black and white. His daughter's tiny hand reaching toward camera. He promised he would come home to them. But survival odds on this mission hover near 35%. By sunset, 60 aircraft will be gone. 650 men dead, missing, or captured. Bobby will survive Black Thursday. His co-pilot Bill Morrison will die in the seat beside him. And Bobby will spend the rest of his life asking why he lived when better men did not. But before we understand that moment, before we witness the day doctrine died and left American bombers defenseless over Germany, we must go back. Back to Dayton, Ohio. Back to the city where aviation became American innovation. Back to a boy who grew up believing machines could solve any problem and courage could overcome any obstacle. Back to the moment when Robert Hayes decided that staying home while other men died felt like cowardice, even though his work was essential. This is his story. The story of how American ingenuity and adaptation defeated rigid doctrine, how one aircraft changed the course of war, and how surviving when others died became burden heavier than any bomb load. Dayton, Ohio, March 15, 1919. Robert Hayes, born to Samuel and Margaret Hayes in the city where Wright brothers learned to fly. Third generation in Dayton. Aviation was not just industry here. It was identity. It was proof that Americans could dream impossible things and make them real through engineering and determination and refusal to accept limitations. Samuel Hayes worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base as civilian mechanic starting 1920, maintained aircraft engines, understood that machines have logic, that every problem has solution if you think methodically and refuse to panic. These lessons he taught his son not through lectures, but through example. Through letting young Bobby watch him diagnose engine troubles by sound alone. Through explaining that panic kills, but thinking saves lives. Through showing that respect for machines and understanding of physics matter more than bravado. Bobby grew up surrounded by aircraft and history, watched planes take off and land at Wright Field, heard stories about barnstormers and test pilots and men who pushed boundaries of what flight could achieve. First flew at age 14, an Army trainer with instructor who knew his father. Felt aircraft respond to controls. Felt freedom that came from leaving ground behind. Knew immediately this was what he wanted. Not fixing aircraft like his father. Flying them. High school passed in blur of mathematics and baseball and dreams of sky. Bobby was good student. Better at numbers than words. Played pitcher for Dayton Central High. Learned to stay calm under pressure. Learned that control matters more than power. That precision beats aggression when stakes are high. These lessons would save his life over Germany, but he did not know that yet. Just knew he loved the moment when everything depended on making right decision in seconds available. 1935 brought something more important than baseball or mathematics or even flying. Brought Catherine Sullivan. Kate, age 15, daughter of school teacher, Irish Catholic family. Bobby was Protestant, but families approved because both saw good character mattered more than denomination. She had brown hair and green eyes and quiet strength that reminded Bobby of his mother, but softer somehow. She listened when he talked about flying, did not mock his dreams, did not suggest he should be practical, and study engineering at university like his mother wanted. Just believed in him when institutions would later reject him. They courted properly through high school and college years. Kate attended Ohio State University studying education. Bobby worked at Wright-Patterson as mechanic apprentice, saving money for flying lessons. Got private pilot license 1939, commercial license 1940, logged hours whenever possible. Dreamed of flying for airlines or military or anywhere that would pay him to do what he loved. December 1940, he proposed. Simple proposal, no grand gesture. Just honest question asked in her parents' living room with both families present. She said yes immediately. They married June 1941 in Dayton. Small ceremony, family and close friends, Reception in church basement with coffee and cake. Not fancy, but filled with love and hope and belief that future held good things for young couple willing to work hard. Kate became pregnant by August. Bobby working steadily at Wright-Patterson. Good job. Essential civilian work. Draft board classified him deferred because aircraft maintenance was critical to defense buildup. When Helen was born, March 1942, Bobby held his daughter thinking about responsibility and future and what kind of world she would inherit. War had come to America 4 months earlier. Pearl Harbor changed everything. Young men were dying in Pacific and preparing to die in Europe. Bobby was safe at home with wife and baby, an essential job. Should have felt grateful. Felt guilty instead. Last Sunday dinner before everything changed happened June 1941, week before wedding. Kate's aunt made traditional American Sunday meal. Not fancy cooking, just family food done right with love and attention. Fried chicken golden and crispy from cast iron skillet. Corn on the cob with butter melting into kernels. Mashed potatoes smooth and rich. Green beans from garden still crisp and bright. Apple pie cooling on windowsill filling small house with cinnamon and sugar and promise of sweetness after main meal. Bobby sat at table with Kate and her aunt and his father Samuel. Smell-filled dining room. Smell that meant home and safety and America and everything worth preserving. His father said something Bobby would remember during every mission. Your son, when you are overseas eating whatever they give you in mess hall, remember this. Remember what home tastes like. Remember what you are fighting for. Bobby bit into chicken, crispy skin giving way to tender meat. Taste that would haunt him in England when eating powdered eggs and burnt toast. Taste that would represent everything he was risking, everything he might lose, everything worth surviving for. Kate smiled at him across table, promised she would make this meal every Sunday when he came home from war he had not yet joined. He promised he would come home to eat it. Simple promises that carried weight neither fully understood yet. Weight of possibility that one of them might have to keep promise alone. December 1942 brought decision point. Bobby had watched war for years, watched casualty lists grow, watched young men his age ship out and sometimes come home in caskets, watched newsreels showing bombers over Europe and fighters in Pacific, and understood viscerally that America needed pilots. That men were dying doing job Bobby could do. That staying home safe while others died felt increasingly like moral failure, even though his work was essential and his deferment legitimate. He discussed it with Kate one evening after putting Helen to bed. She was 9 months old, learning to walk, reaching for everything with tiny curious hands. Kate sat across from him at kitchen table, listened while he explained why he needed to volunteer despite having every reason to stay. Kate did not cry, did not beg him to reconsider. Just asked the question that mattered. Do you believe you have to go? Not want to go, have to go. Bobby thought about it, nodded. Then I support you, she said. Helen and I will be here when you come home. You better come home, Bobby Hayes. He promised he would, meant it completely. Had no idea how hard keeping that promise would become. Enlistment happened fast. Army Air Forces needed pilots desperately. Bobby's civilian flight time and mechanical background made him ideal candidate, passed physical. Passed aptitude tests, signed papers. Shipped to Randolph Field, Texas for flight training, January 1943. Left behind wife and daughter and father in city where aviation began. Carried with him photograph of Kate holding Helen. Carried his father's compass from Great War. Carried belief that courage and skill could overcome any obstacle. War would teach him that belief was both true and insufficient. If this history matters to you, if you or someone you love served in the 8th Air Force, take a moment to like and subscribe. And if you have stories about the men who flew these missions, about Black Thursday or the bomber crews who faced impossible odds, share them in comments. We read every single one. These stories must not be forgotten. The sacrifice was too great, the lessons too important, the men too brave to let their memory fade into silence. Flight training at Randolph Field revealed both Bobby's strengths and the gaps in his preparation. He was 23, older than most cadets who were 19 or 20 fresh from universities. They were quick with mathematics and navigation theory, comfortable with military discipline and hierarchical command. Bobby had practical experience but lacked formal education, had 2,000 hours civilian flying but no combat training, had mechanical knowledge but no understanding of formation tactics or bomber operations. His instructors noticed immediately that Bobby flew differently than academy graduates. Smoother, more precise, calm under pressure. Natural feel for aircraft that could not be taught, but also too cautious, too methodical, lacking the aggressive instinct that fighter pilots needed. One instructor wrote in evaluation, "Excellent aircraft control and judgment. Recommend heavy bombers rather than fighters. Temperament suited to steady flying and crew command rather than dogfighting." Bobby did not mind, understood himself well enough to know instructor was right. He was not natural fighter, was natural pilot who stayed calm when others panicked, who thought through problems rather than reacting on instinct, who valued precision over aggression. Heavy bombers needed that temperament, needed aircraft commanders who could lead 10-man crews through hours of combat, who could make life and death decisions while staying focused on mission. That he could do. Qualification on B-17 Flying Fortress happened at Maxwell Field, Alabama, May through June 1943. 4 engines, 10-man crew, aircraft bristling with 50 caliber machine guns and capable of carrying 6,000 pounds of bombs deep into enemy territory. Learning to fly it was learning to conduct orchestra. Every crew member had role. Every station had responsibility. Pilot coordinated everything, made decisions that kept everyone alive or got everyone killed. Weight of that responsibility settled onto Bobby's shoulders and never left. Crew assignment was supposedly random, but bonds formed immediately anyway. Army put 10 strangers together and told them they would live or die as unit. Somehow it worked. Somehow 10 men from different backgrounds and different parts of country became brothers in weeks. Second Lieutenant William Morrison became Bobby's co-pilot and best friend almost instantly. Bill was 25 from Boston, third of 7 children in Irish Catholic family. Father was cop, mother was nurse. Bill was loud where Bobby was quiet, confident where Bobby was careful. Joked constantly to cover fear everyone felt but few admitted. First thing he said to Bobby was simple promise that became prophecy. "We are going to win this war. Get drunk in Paris, then go home and raise families." Bobby wanted to believe him, would spend rest of life wishing Bill had been right. Second Lieutenant James Chen navigated. 23 years old from San Francisco. Chinese-American. Parents owned grocery store. Chen graduated Stanford with mathematics degree. Brilliant mind that could calculate courses in fuel consumption and wind drift in his head faster than most men could with slide rule. Faced discrimination but never complained. Just did his job better than anyone else and let competence speak louder than prejudice. Bobby trusted him completely. Trusted that Chen would always know where they were and how to get home. That trust was earned and never betrayed. Second Lieutenant Thomas Jackson handled bombs. 24 from Texas. Former high school teacher who volunteered after Pearl Harbor. Careful and precise. Took responsibility of dropping explosives seriously. Understood that every bomb either shortened war and saved lives or missed target and wasted sacrifice. Told Bobby once that he thought about students back home every time he aimed Norden bomb site. Thought about keeping them safe by destroying German war machine. That sense of purpose kept him focused when fear might have paralyzed. Technical Sergeant Patrick O'Brien was flight engineer and top turret gunner. 26 from Brooklyn. Longshoreman before war. Knew B-17 mechanically better than anyone Bobby ever met. Could diagnose engine problems by sound. Could fix almost anything with whatever parts were available. Kept crew laughing with constant stream of jokes and stories and commentary on absurdity of military life. His humor was shield against terror. His skill was reason they survived mechanical failures that killed other crews. Staff Sergeant Frank Kowalski operated radio. 22 from Chicago, Polish family, played accordion in barracks. Music lifted spirits when nothing else could. Quiet but utterly dependable. Kept them connected to each other and to command into world beyond bomber. His calm voice on intercom during combat steadied everyone. His messages home to families maintained connection to reason they fought. Staff Sergeant Michael Rodriguez manned ball turret. 19 from Los Angeles. Mexican-American. Youngest crew member. Small enough to fit in ball turret's cramped sphere suspended below fuselage. Wrote his mother every day. Carried rosaries she gave him. Protected bomber from below with vigilance that came from knowing how vulnerable they were. Would lose arm on Black Thursday but survive. Would teach Bobby that living with disability beats dying whole. Sergeants Robert Murphy and Joseph Sullivan were waist gunners. Murphy was 21 from Georgia. Red hair earning nickname obvious to everyone. Sharpshooter who hit what he aimed at. Calm under fire. Sullivan was 21 from Minnesota. Ice hockey player. Tough and resilient. They covered flanks together. Developed wordless communication that let them coordinate without speaking. Became brothers who protected each other, an entire crew. Sergeant David Harrison manned tail gun, 20 from Pennsylvania, coal miner's son. Youngest except Rodriguez. Last line of defense. Watched rear constantly. Fearless in way that came from youth and ignorance and determination not to let crew down. Would survive war and live long life and attend every reunion and remember friends who did not make it. Naming the aircraft became crew ritual. Bobby let everyone vote. O'Brien suggested Brooklyn's Revenge. Rodriguez suggested LA Lightning. Chen suggested something mathematical that no one understood. But Bobby showed them Kate's photograph, showed them wife holding daughter, explained he was flying this war to get back to them, asked if anyone objected to Kate's Courage's name. Silence fell over crew. Then Morrison spoke with unusual seriousness. Perfect name, Captain. We are all flying for someone. Your Kate represents all of them. Every man nodded. Vote was unanimous. Kate's Courage was painted on nose. Kate's face painted by crew member who had been artist before war. Photograph became talisman, symbol of what they fought for. Reminder of home waiting if they survived. August 1943 brought deployment to England. Ship convoy across Atlantic. 11 days of submarine scares and seasickness in crowded conditions. Finally Liverpool. Train to East Anglia. RAF Polebrook in Bedfordshire, and home of 351st Bomb Group 8th Air Force. Nissen huts cold and damp. English weather perpetually gray. RAF crews who had already switched to night bombing after discovering daylight raids were suicide. British pilots warned Americans directly. You will learn, they said. You will learn that daylight precision bombing costs more than it achieves. Americans insisted doctrine was sound. B-17 could defend itself. Combat box formations provided mutual protection. Theory proved by statisticians would work in practice. Major Richard Blake commanded squadron. Explained doctrine in first briefing with absolute certainty. B-17, Flying Fortress, has 13 50 caliber machine guns, overlapping fields of fire. Combat box formation provides mutual protection from every angle. Theory is sound, statistics prove it. You maintain formation discipline, you survive. Questions, Bobby raised hand. Sir, what about August 17th? Reports said 60 bombers lost to Schweinfurt. Blake's face hardened. Operational losses within acceptable parameters. Doctrine remains sound. Mission accomplished. Target damaged. Next question. But Bobby saw doubt in Blake's eyes. Knowledge that doctrine had flaws. That admitting it meant admitting command sent men to die for broken theory. That hundreds of deaths might have been prevented if someone had questioned assumptions earlier. Blake was good officer trapped by bad doctrine. Would eventually adapt. But not before more men died, proving what British already knew. First combat mission came September 6, 1943. Target was Stuttgart, Germany. Short range. P-47, Thunderbolt escort entire way. Light opposition, no losses from squadron. Kate's Courage returned with minor flak damage. Crew celebrated survival with drinks and backslapping and relief that combat was survivable. Draw. Bill Morrison declared victory. See, doctrine works. We protect each other. Germans cannot touch us when we fly formation. Bobby noticed something Morrison did not. P-47 stayed entire mission. Escorts never left them vulnerable. What happened when fighters reached range limit and had to turn back? What happened during hours between escort departure and escort return? Those questions nagged him, but seemed theoretical. Doctrine said formations could defend themselves. First mission proved doctrine worked. Why question success? September 15th brought second mission. Paris rail yards. Moderate opposition. One bomber lost from group. Flak damage to Kate's Courage, but all crew safe. Starting to feel routine. Starting to believe 25 missions was achievable. Starting to think about going home to Kate and Helen. September 27th shattered that confidence. Target was Emden, Germany. Heavy flak-filled sky with black puffs of shrapnel. 2 bombers lost. Kate's courage took cannon fire from Bf-109. Holes punched through fuselage. O'Brien wounded by shrapnel. Superficial wound, but first blood drawn. First proof they were not invulnerable. That night, O'Brien drank heavily. Sat with Bobby outside barracks staring at stars. Captain, I saw that 109 coming straight at us. Closing speed 500 miles per hour. Had maybe 2 seconds to react. If he had aimed 6 inches left, he would have hit cockpit. You and Bill dead. Rest of us die when aircraft goes down. But he did not. We are alive. This time. What about next time? How long before our luck runs out? Bobby had no answer. Just touched Kate's photograph and thought about Helen, who would turn 2 soon and might not remember father who did not come home. Thought about promise he made to return. Wondered if promise was within his power to keep, or if random chance determined everything and courage meant nothing against mathematics of combat. Crew developed rituals to manage fear. Pre-mission breakfast of powdered eggs and burnt toast and coffee that tasted like diesel fuel. Chapel service with attendance increasing weekly. Kowalski playing accordion night before missions. Bobby touching Kate's photograph before engine start. Morrison saying same prayer every time. God keep us safe, bring us home, men. Rodriguez kissing rosary from mother. Chen calculating survival odds silently and keeping numbers to himself because knowing made fear worse, not better. Letters home became lifeline to sanity. Bobby wrote Kate every week. Dearest Kate, September 20th, 1943. 3 missions complete. 22 to go. We are doing well. Kate's courage lives up to her name. Crew is best in Air Force. Bill keeps us laughing. O'Brien keeps engines running. Everyone does job. I think about you and Helen every moment. Kiss our baby for me. I will be home before you know it. All my love, Bobby. Kate wrote back with news from home. My darling Bobby, October 1st. Helen is walking now. Points at sky whenever airplane flies over. I tell her Daddy is up there keeping us safe. Your father visited yesterday. Very proud of you. Says you are doing what Wright brothers would have done. Fighting for freedom through air power. I miss you every day. Come home safe to us. All our love, Kate and Helen. October 10th, Berwick briefing that changed everything. Colonel Foster addressed assembled crews with announcement that sent chill through room. Gentlemen, you heard about August 17th, mission to Schweinfurt. 60 bombers lost. Some call it failure. I call it necessary sacrifice. Target was ball-bearing factories. We damaged them. Cost was high. Strategic value justified losses. Bobby listened thinking 60 bombers meant 600 men. Families destroyed. Futures erased. How did mathematics justify that? Foster continued without acknowledging silent question. Schweinfurt still produces nearly half of Germany's ball-bearing supply. Without ball bearings, German tanks cannot rotate. Turrets, aircraft propellers cannot spin, submarines cannot operate. Destroying these factories could shorten war by months, maybe years. Save thousands of Allied lives in long run. In 4 days, October 14th, we strike Schweinfurt again. Morrison whispered to Bobby, 60 bombers lost. Same target. They expect different result, Bobby whispered back. Definition of insanity. But orders were orders. Survival was matter of luck now. Doctrine had failed in August. Would fail again in October. But no one with power to change it was willing to admit that yet. Men would die proving what should have been obvious. That courage alone cannot overcome bad strategy. That rigid doctrine kills when reality demands adaptation. 3 days of preparation followed. Crews studied target photographs. Schweinfurt Industrial District. 5 major ball-bearing plants. Heavily defended by 88mm flak guns and Luftwaffe bases with experienced pilots who had perfected tactics against B-17 formations. Chen calculated distances grimly. 420 miles from England to Schweinfurt. P-47 range approximately 275 miles, meaning unescorted for 150 miles inbound, 3 hours over target and return 150 miles outbound. 3 hours alone in German airspace. O'Brien summarized what everyone thought. 3 hours alone against experienced German fighters. Lovely. Rodriguez said his mother was praying for them. Jackson said they all needed prayer now. Morrison tried to joke but fell flat. Even his humor could not lighten weight, pressing down on everyone who understood mathematics of what was coming. October 13th night before Black Thursday. Kowalski played accordion in barracks. Sad Polish folk songs. Men wrote letters home to be opened if they did not return. Bobby wrote final letter to Kate with hands that shook slightly. My dearest Kate, October 13, 1943. Tomorrow we fly to Schweinfurt. Same target that cost 60 bombers in August. I will not lie to you. This is dangerous mission. Most dangerous yet. But Kate's courage is ready. Crew is ready. I am ready. If you are reading this after telegram from War Department, know that I died doing what I believe was right. Fighting for freedom. Fighting so Helen grows up in a world without tyranny. I love you more than words can express. Kiss our daughter. Tell her daddy loved her. And Kate, if I do not return, please try to forgive me for leaving you. I had to go. All my love forever, Bobby. He sealed letter, gave to Chaplin with instructions to send only if he did not come back. Chaplin took it without speaking. Had stack of similar letters. Knew that tomorrow some would be mailed and families would weep and futures would end. Cost of war measured in sealed envelopes and folded flags and children who would grow up fatherless. Morning came too soon. Wake up at 0400 in fog so thick Bobby could not see across dispersal area. Breakfast at 0445. Mess hall packed. Powdered eggs like yellow paste with no flavor. Toast burnt on edges and raw in middle. Coffee tasting like oil and mud and desperation. Bobby could not eat. Stomach knotted tight. Morrison ate double portions, declaring that dying on full stomach was better than dying hungry. O'Brien called it Irish logic and tried to laugh, but sound came out wrong. Chapel service at 0530. Small building packed with every crew, every denomination. Protestant chaplain led. Catholic priest gave blessing. Jewish rabbi said Kaddish for those about to risk everything. Bobby prayed silently. God, if you are listening, bring us home. Bring us all home. Let me see Kate and Helen again. Please. Simple prayer from man who was not particularly religious. Prayer born of fear and hope and desperate need to believe someone controlled chaos approaching. Briefing at 0615 revealed what everyone already knew. Target Schweinfurt ball-bearing plants. Expected opposition heavy. Escort P-47 Thunderbolts to Dutch coast inbound from Dutch coast outbound. Unescorted over Germany for hours. Colonel Foster stood at front declaring that destroying these factories would shorten war and save Allied lives. Your sacrifice saves thousands, he said. Good luck. Good hunting. Bobby thought about word sacrifice. My sacrifice. My crew's sacrifice. 60 bombers sacrifice in August. How much sacrifice justified strategic target? How many widows and orphans balanced against reduced ball-bearing production? Mathematics had no answer, just costs that someone else tallied while families wept. Pre-flight at 0700. Kate's courage waiting in gray dawn. Crew performed checks with practiced efficiency. Engines, guns, oxygen, bombs. 12 500-pounders nestled in bomb bay. Chen plotted course. Jackson prepared Norden bomb site. O'Brien checked engines one final time. Bobby touched Kate's photograph. Helen smiling. Kate smiling. Whirled away from fog and fear, and death waiting beyond Dutch coast. Morrison climbed into co-pilot seat. Ready. Captain, ready as we will ever be, Bobby answered. Morrison grinned, but expression was forced. We will make it. Too stubborn to die. Bobby wanted desperately to believe him. Wanted to believe courage and skill mattered more than random chance. Wanted to believe that doctrine worked and formations protected and good men survived while bad doctrine got corrected. But deep inside knew that none of that was true. Knew that in 3 hours Morrison might be dead. That in 3 hours he might be dead. That mathematics and violence cared nothing for courage or love or promises made to wives waiting home. Engine started at 0745. 4 Wright Cyclone radials roaring to life. Smoke and thunder. Kate's courage trembling with power. Bobby ran through checklist. Everything green, everything ready, everything except doctrine that would fail and leave them defenseless and kill 60 crews before sunset turned sky red over England. 291 bombers took off from multiple bases. Formed up over England and process taking nearly 2 hours. Combat boxes forming high, middle, low. Mutual protection. Theory sound on paper. Reality about to demonstrate fatal flaws. Kate's courage held position in middle of formation. Protected above and below according to doctrine, or so theory promised. Reality would prove otherwise. They crossed English coast at 1000 hours. Left safety behind, North Sea below, Holland ahead. P-47 Thunderbolts joined. 50 fighters escorting 291 bombers. Good odds, for now. For a brief window before mathematics of fuel and range reasserted control, Bobby flew formation, maintained position, followed doctrine, believed in system designed by men smarter than him with more experience and better information. That belief would shatter at 1100 hours when escorts turned back and doctrine died, leaving them alone in sky that belonged to enemy who had perfected art of killing flying fortresses. 1100 hours over Holland. Bobby watches P-47 Thunderbolts waggle wings and farewell signal pilots have come to dread. Fuel gauges reading empty. Range limit reached. No choice but to turn back toward England. Escorts bank west and disappear into cloud layer, leaving 291 bombers alone in hostile sky. Silence falls over intercom. Everyone thinking same thought, nobody speaks aloud. We are alone now. 3 hours until escorts return. 3 hours in most dangerous airspace in world. 3 hours when survival depends on doctrine that failed in August and will fail again today. 11:13 brings first attack. Harrison and Tail calls out with voice tight with fear. Fighters high 6 o'clock coming fast. Messerschmitt Bf-109s diving from 30,000 feet. 4 ship formations. German tactics perfected over years of combat. They know B-17 weaknesses. No nose is vulnerable because forward guns belong to Bombardier who cannot track targets closing at 500 miles per hour. No frontal attack is key to breaking formations. Know exactly how to kill flying fortresses and have proven it 60 times in August. They hold fire until 300 yards. Close enough that missing is impossible. Far enough that defensive fire has not yet concentrated. Then unleash 4 20mm cannons simultaneously. Effect is catastrophic. Flashes look like sparks on anvil. Impact sounds like metal tearing. Explosions that turn aluminum into shrapnel and men into casualties in fractions of seconds. First bomber dies almost instantly. Aircraft in formation ahead takes cannon shells directly into cockpit. Both pilots killed. Bomber rolls inverted. Falls. Breaks apart in midair. Bobby watches pieces tumbling. Wings separating from fuselage. Tail spinning. Men falling. 4 parachutes bloom white against gray sky. 6 men dead trapped inside wreckage, or knocked unconscious by impact or killed outright by cannon fire. Mathematics of violence playing out with precision that makes it no less horrible. O'Brien on intercom voice breaking. Jesus Christ. Bobby forces calm into reply he does not feel. Eyes forward. Maintain formation. But horror has just begun. This is opening move in battle that will last hours, that will kill hundreds, that will prove doctrine is fatally flawed and courage alone cannot overcome bad strategy. 11:20 brings Focke-Wulf 190s from flanks, wave after wave, Germans using mass formations, 8 10-12 aircraft attacking simultaneously, overwhelming defensive fire. Some get through gaps, some absorb punishment and keep coming. Some explode when 50 caliber rounds find fuel tanks or ammunition. But for every German hit, 2 more appear. Luftwaffe has committed everything to stopping this raid, has positioned squadrons along entire route, has coordinated refueling and rearming so fresh fighters replace exhausted ones, has turned sky over Germany into killing ground where American bombers die in steady stream. Red Murphy and right waist gunfires, steady bursts, hot brass shells flying, cordite smoke choking. Sullivan in left waist calls out, victory, got one. FW-190 going down trailing smoke. But celebration is brief because 3 more appear where 1 fell. Mathematics favor defenders. Germans can land refuel rearm attack again. Americans must fly straight course deep into enemy territory with no respite and no reinforcement. 11:30 brings moment. Bobby will replay in nightmares for rest of his life. 20mm cannon shell punches through number 3 engine. Explosion, fire. Bobby's hand moves to feathering button on instinct, stops propeller, cuts fuel, Fire dies, but engine is gone. Now flying on three engines. Speed drops, formation pulling ahead. Bill Morrison voice urgent. We are falling behind. Bobby throttles remaining engines to maximum. Keep up. If we fall behind, we die. All bomber crews know this truth. Stragglers are killed. Luftwaffe hunts wounded aircraft like wolves hunt wounded deer. Swarm them from every angle. Overwhelm defensive fire. Finish them methodically. Falling behind formation is death sentence. Bobby coaxes every bit of power from three remaining engines. Kate's courage shudders with strain, but holds position. Barely. 11:35 brings first casualty. Rodriguez in ball turret calls out calmly despite pain that must be excruciating. I am hit. Left arm, bleeding pretty bad. O'Brien responds immediately. Can you get out? Rodriguez voice steady, negative. Turret jammed, I am staying down here. Bobby orders Kowalski to help. Frank climbs through narrow access into ball turret, sees blood. Rodriguez's left arm shredded by shrapnel. Bone visible. Artery pumping blood with each heartbeat. Jesus, Mikey. Rodriguez, age 19, voice shaking but controlled. Just stop bleeding, I can still shoot. Kowalski applies tourniquet with hands slippery with blood. Stops arterial flow. Rodriguez will lose arm below elbow. Will survive war. Will return to Los Angeles maimed at 19. Will spend rest of life with prosthetic and phantom pain and memories of this moment, but will live. That is victory measured in lowest possible terms. Survival when death seems certain. Living diminished when alternative is not living at all. 11:40 brings Morrison's death. Bobby sees BF-109 diving from 11 o'clock high. Frontal attack, aimed directly at cockpit. Calls out warning. Bill fighters front. Both men see it. Cannot evade without leaving formation. Cannot shoot because forward guns are bombardier's responsibility, and Jackson is busy with navigation. Just watch death approach at 500 miles per hour. Watch and hope German pilot misses or gets hit by defensive fire or makes mistake. None of that happens. German pilot holds fire with discipline that speaks to training and experience. 200 yards, 100 yards, fires. 20-millimeter cannon shells walk across nose plexiglass, through windscreen, into cockpit. One shell hits Bill Morrison in chest, explodes. Morrison's body jerks violently. Blood sprays across instruments, across Bobby's face in uniform, across everything. Bill tries to speak, cannot. Eyes wide with shock and disbelief and recognition that he is dying. That promise made months ago about drinking in Paris was lie told to keep fear manageable. That he will never see Boston again, or his parents, or his 6 siblings, or anything except inside a bomber over Germany. Bobby screaming, Bill, Bill, but Morrison is already gone. Body slumps forward onto controls. Bobby pushes corpse back into seat with hands shaking. Blood everywhere. On throttles, on yoke, on photograph of Kate and Helen. He tries to focus, keep flying, keep crew alive. But best friend is dead in seat beside him, and there is no time to grieve because mission continues and formation demands discipline, and showing weakness might break crew morale. O'Brien on intercom voice breaking. Captain is Bill. Bobby cuts him off with voice flat and hard. Morrison is dead. Stay sharp, keep fighting. Silence on intercom. Everyone processing. Everyone understanding that it could have been them. That random chance determines who lives and dies. That courage means nothing against cannon shells traveling faster than sound. Hours blurred together. Noon to 1400. 2 more hours to target. Luftwaffe relentless. Some German pilots fly 3 sorties against same bomber stream. Land at forward bases. Refuel in minutes. Rearm. Takeoff. Tack again. They have advantage of position and supply and determination to defend homeland. Americans have only doctrine that promises mutual protection but delivers isolated aircraft getting picked off one by one. More bombers fall. Memphis Belle 2 explodes when Bombay takes direct hit. 6,000 pounds of explosives detonating an instant. Aircraft simply ceases to exist, becomes cloud of debris, and human remains raining down over German countryside. Liberty Lady loses tail to cannon fire. Spins down in flat spin that crushes crew with G-forces, no parachutes. All 10 men dead before impact. Iron resolve catches fire, burns for agonizing minutes while men bail out into sky lit by flames consuming friends. Some parachutes open, some do not. Watching is torture, but Bobby cannot look away, cannot stop counting, cannot stop thinking that Kate's courage could be next, that his name could be next on casualty list, that Helen could grow up fatherless because doctrine failed and no one with the power to change it was willing to admit failure. 1440 brings Schweinfurt at last. City appears through clouds. Industrial district visible. 5 ball-bearing plants. Smokestacks. Factories. Target that cost 60 bombers in August and will cost 60 more today. Anti-aircraft guns open fire immediately. 88mm flak. Black puffs everywhere. Each burst a ball of shrapnel that can shred aluminum like cloth. That can kill men instantly or wound them horribly or disable aircraft so they limp home hours later and crash trying to land. Jackson calls out from bombardier position. Steady, Captain. Bomb run beginning. Bobby must fly straight and level for 3 minutes. No evasion, locked into Norden bomb sight discipline. Every instinct screams to dodge and weave and make aircraft hard target. But precision requires stability. Missing target means wasting sacrifice, means mission failure, means men died for nothing. So Bobby flies straight despite flak bursting around them, despite holes appearing in wings and fuselage, despite Red Murphy calling out that he is hit by shrapnel. Superficial but bleeding. Everyone bleeding now, everyone damaged. But mission continues because stopping means failure, and failure means deaths were meaningless. Jackson voice tense with concentration. Bombs away, bombs away. 12 500-pounders drop from bomb bay. Kate's courage lurches upward. Lighter without bomb load. Bobby banks hard immediately, away from target, toward home. 400 miles to England, through sky still full of fighters and flak. Every mile bought with blood. Every minute gamble against mathematics that favor defenders. Chen provides heading. Course 090, England bearing 090. Bobby turns to heading. Heading 090, let us go home. But hardest part remains. German fighters continue assault until ammunition runs dry. Some pilots fly 4 sorties, keep attacking until physically cannot continue. American bombers streaming back toward England are wounded animals. Germans hunt them with methodical violence perfected over years. 1,500 to 1,700 hours become test of endurance. Kate's courage struggles on 3 engines. Formation pulls ahead. Bobby coaxes maximum power, but physics cannot be denied. Falling behind slowly. O'Brien reports oil pressure dropping on number 2 engine. How long, Bobby asks. Maybe 30 minutes, maybe 5, cannot say. 2 engines cannot maintain altitude. We'll descend to lower altitude where fighters dominate. We'll become easy target. We'll die like so many others. Harrison and Tail calls fighters closing. 3 FW-190s behind us range 1,000 yards. Bobby tells crew to stay sharp. This is it. Final test. Live or die in next minutes. German fighters make passes. Harrison, Murphy, Sullivan firing. Chen on navigator's gun also firing. Tracers crossing. But Germans experienced. Know how to avoid defensive fire. Know how to set up killing shots. 1 FW-190 hits number 2 engine. Explosion, fire. O'Brien hits suppression. Engine dies. Fire goes out. But now on 2 engines only, Bobby announces what everyone knows. We are going down. Prepare for bailout. Chen stops him. Captain, wait. Look ahead. Through windscreen, maybe 10 miles distant, P-47 Thunderbolts. Fresh fighters returning from different mission. Heard distress calls. Diverted to help. Bobby radios desperately. Any P-47s, this frequency. This is B-17. Charlie Baker, 7. 3 fighters on our tail. We are damaged, wounded aboard, need immediate assistance. P-47 leader responds instantly. Charlie Baker, 7. We see you, hold on. We are coming. 4 Thunderbolts dive toward Kate's courage. Engage FW-190s. Dogfight erupts. German fighters break off. Flee toward bases. P-47s escort Kate's courage until crossing English coast at 16:45. P-47 leader Maido's final message. Charlie Baker. 7, you are safe now. Good luck getting her down. Bobby responds with gratitude that makes voice break. Thank you. You saved our lives. P-47 leader casual. That is the brief. See you in the pub. Then they are gone and Kate's courage limps toward Polebrook alone. 2 engines. Hydraulics damaged. Landing gear must be deployed manually. Brakes questionable, but alive. Still alive against odds that killed 60 others. 1745 brings landing. Tower clears them for emergency approach. Crews standing by. Bobby lines up runway, gear down manually, flaps down. Speed perfect, spite 2 dead engines. Touches down, brakes barely working, aircraft rolling. Rolling, finally stops 50 feet from runway end. Silence. Engines shut down. Bobby sits in pilot seat next to Bill Morrison's corpse. Stares at blood on instruments. Blood on controls. Blood on photograph of Kate and Helen. Cannot move. Cannot process. Survived when Morrison did not. No reason, no logic, just random violence and chance. O'Brien breaks silence. Captain, we made it. We are home. Bobby voice distant. We made it. Bill did not. Neither did Rodriguez's arm. Neither did 60 bombers and 650 men. We made it, but doctrine failed, and command will send more men tomorrow to die proving what we already know. That courage alone cannot overcome bad strategy. That flying fortress cannot defend itself for 3 hours against coordinated attacks. That something must change, or 8th Air Force will be destroyed one mission at a time. Ambulances arrive. Medics help Rodriguez from ball turret. Left arm mangled beyond repair. Will require amputation at field hospital. Rodriguez knows, age 19, crying not from pain, but from knowing war is over for him. Dreams of completing missions and protecting crew and ending war all finished. He apologizes to Bobby. Captain, I am sorry, I failed you. Bobby grips his good shoulder. You did not fail anyone, Mikey. You fought bravely. You are going home. That is victory. Morrison's body removed carefully, frozen in seat, blood crystallized at altitude. Medics place him in body bag, take to morgue. Bobby watches, unable to look away. Best friend reduced to cargo. Man who joked this morning about dying on full stomach, now going home in casket. Wife will receive telegram. Parents will weep. 6 siblings will lose brother. All because doctrine failed and no one admitted it until too late. What happened on October 14th, 1943, forced greatest tactical shift in air warfare history. If your father or grandfather flew bombers, or if you served in any branch during this era, we would love to hear your family's stories. Share in comments below. Your memories preserve this history for future generations who will never meet men who lived it. These sacrifices must be remembered. These lessons must be learned. These men must not be forgotten. Debriefing happens in stunned silence. Intelligence officers asking what happened. Describe enemy tactics. What worked? What failed? Bobby's report is blunt. Doctrine failed. Frontal attacks devastated formations. No escort for 3 hours meant Luftwaffe refueled, rearmed, attacked multiple times. B-17 cannot defend itself against mass coordinated attacks. We need long-range fighters or daylight bombing is suicide. Intelligence officer writes everything down. Notes it, thanks Bobby. But both no report will go up chain of command where generals will read and file and send more bombers unescorted tomorrow because admitting doctrine failure means admitting years of planning were wrong. Pride kills as surely as cannon shells. Numbers come in over following hours. 60 B-17s lost. 17 more damaged beyond repair. 77 total aircraft gone. 26% of strike force. 650 men dead, wounded, or captured. From 351st Bomb Group, 8 aircraft lost. 80 men missing. Dozens wounded. From Kate's Courage crew, Morrison killed Rodriguez, loses arm. Murphy wounded, recovers. Others physically unharmed, but psychologically shattered. No one sleeps that night. No one can close eyes without seeing Morrison die, or hearing Rodriguez scream, or watching bombers explode. November 1943 becomes month of crisis. Missions continue. Losses continue. Empty bunks multiply. Personal effects packed and shipped home to families who weep, receiving boxes of photographs, in letters, in medals. that cannot replace sons and husbands and fathers. Bobby flies missions with new co-pilot Second Lieutenant Richard Grant, age 22, fresh from states with zero combat experience. Eager, confident, reminds Bobby of himself before Black Thursday taught that war is not glory but horror. Grant does not understand yet when he says, "Captain Hayes, honored to fly with you, heard about Black Thursday that you are a hero." Bobby's response is harsh. "I am not hero, I am survivor. Heroes are dead, Grant will learn. Everyone learns eventually. Those who survive long enough to learn become careful and methodical and haunted. Those who do not learn die quickly, still believing courage matters more than tactics." Missions pile up through November and December. Bremen twice with heavy losses. Paris with moderate losses. Each mission odds roll. Each mission some crews do not return. Bobby's mental state deteriorates. Nightmares every night. Morrison dying, Rodriguez screaming, bombers exploding, wakes in cold sweat, drinks heavily between missions. O'Brien notices, Chen notices, Jackson notices. No one says anything because everyone understands. Fear is constant companion now. Question is not whether you are afraid, but whether you can function despite fear. December brings winter weather that grounds operations. Fog, rain, snow making flying impossible. Crews wait, drink, play cards, write letters. Try not to think about fact that spring will bring more missions, more death, more mathematics, playing out with bomber crews as variables in equation that calculates acceptable losses. Bobby writes Kate in mid-December, "Dearest Kate, weather has grounded us. Strange to feel grateful for snow and fog. But every day not flying is day I stay alive. We have lost so many men since Black Thursday. Squadron deployed with 30 crews now down to 18. Replacements arrive weekly but do not survive long. I have 12 missions remaining. 12 times I must roll dice. I do not know if I will make it, Kate. I want to believe I will. But every mission odds get worse. I love you. I love Helen. If I do not return, please tell her I tried. All my love, Bobby." January 6, 1944. Brings change. Lieutenant General James Doolittle assumes command of 80th Air Force. Famous for Tokyo Raid in 42. Experienced combat pilot. Understands air warfare intimately. First briefing to all crews is revelation. "Gentlemen, I have read after action reports from Black Thursday and every mission since. Current doctrine is failing. Bomber losses unsustainable. We are losing air war. I am changing strategy immediately. First fighters no longer restricted to close escort. You are authorized to sweep ahead, engage enemy, wherever found, pursue to destruction. Second, P-51 Mustang now operational. Range 1,650 miles with drop tanks. Can escort bombers to Berlin and back. Luftwaffe will have nowhere to hide. Third, we will hunt German fighters on ground. Strafe airfields. Destroy aircraft before they take off. Air superiority will not be granted. It will be taken by force." Question. Bobby raises hand. "Sir, when do we start?" Doolittle's answer is immediate. "Next time weather clears. Prepare for Operation Argument. We are going to break Luftwaffe in 1 week." Room erupts, not cheering exactly, but release of tension that has built since Black Thursday. Finally, someone willing to admit doctrine failed. Finally, someone willing to change strategy. Finally, hope that surviving might be possible. P-51 Mustang arrives at nearby fighter bases in late January. Bobby sees them land. Sleek, silver, beautiful. Merlin engine, speed and range and performance that changes entire calculus of air war. Meets P-51 pilot at Officers Club. Captain John Mitchell, age 24 from Kansas. Former crop duster before war. Says he heard about Black Thursday. 60 bombers lost. That is why we are here. Give you boys fighting chance. Bobby asks question that matters. Can you really escort us all the way to target? Mitchell grins. All the way to Berlin if needed. Luftwaffe is about to learn what American innovation looks like. Bobby feels something he has not felt since October. Hope. Real hope based not on doctrine or theory, but on aircraft that can actually do job. When I was kid, people said bomber will always get through. They were wrong. Bomber needs fighter. We need you. Mitchell's response is promise. We will not let you down. February 19th brings briefing for Operation Argument. Big week. Coordinated bombing campaign against German aircraft factories. 6 days. Maximum effort. Goal destroy Luftwaffe's ability to replace losses. Force remaining fighters into battle where P-51s will destroy them. Colonel Foster explains stakes. This is largest coordinated air offensive of war. Thousands of bombers, hundreds of fighters. We will hit them everywhere simultaneously. They cannot defend everything. Some of you will not return, but those who do will have changed this war. Bobby has flown 11 missions since Black Thursday, 14 total, 11 to go. Big week means 6 missions in 6 days, 6 times rolling dice. Odds of surviving all 6 statistically low, but also P-51 escort all the way. Maybe odds improved. Maybe doctrine finally works when combined with technology adequate to task. February 20th begins big week. Target Leipzig aircraft assembly plants. Kate's courage in formation. Bobby in left seat. Grant in right. Crew nervous but ready. Takeoff. Formation assembly. Cross North Sea. P-51s join over Holland. But this time they do not turn back. They stay. Cross into Germany. Stay with formation. Protect flanks and altitude in every approach. Luftwaffe attacks, but P-51s engage immediately. Dogfights across sky. German fighters falling. Some P-51s falling too, but bombers reaching target with minimal losses. Kate's courage drops bombs on Leipzig factories. Turns for home. P-51s still escorting, all the way back to England. Land at 1700. Entire crew survives. 0 casualties. First mission with 0 casualties since before Black Thursday. O'Brien voice filled with wonder. Captain, did you see those Mustangs? Germans could not touch us? Bobby allows himself a small smile. 1 day down, 5 to go, but feels different now. Feels like survival might be possible. Like doctrine combined with adequate technology might actually work. Like coming home to Kate and Helen might be future instead of fantasy. 6 days blur together. Brunswick, Oschersleben, Schweinfurt, Rostock, Regensburg. Some days heavy opposition, some days light. But always P-51s there, always protection. Always fighters engaging Germans before they reach bombers. Loss rates drop from 25% to 3%. Crews begin believing they might survive tours. Morale transforms. Hope returns. Not naive hope of pre-combat crews, but realistic hope based on evidence that innovation and adaptation can overcome doctrine's failures. February 24th brings mission to Schweinfurt, same target as Black Thursday. Bobby's hands shake during briefing. Memories flooding back. Morrison dying, Rodriguez screaming, blood frozen on instruments. Grant asks if he is okay. Captain, you okay, Bobby? Honest. Schweinfurt. Have not been back since October. Grant tries to reassure. We have Mustangs now. It is different. Bobby nods. Let us hope so. Mission proceeds. P-51s annihilate Luftwaffe opposition. Kate's courage bombs Schweinfurt ball-bearing plants. Returns safely. 3 bombers lost from entire 8th Air Force. 8th Air Force compared to 60 in October. That is what P-51 means. That is what innovation means. That is difference between doctrine alone and doctrine supported by technology adequate to mission. Big week ends February 25th. Results staggering. American losses, 226 bombers, 28 fighters. High number but sustainable. German losses, 355 fighters destroyed in air. 100 plus destroyed on ground. 100 plus irreplaceable veteran pilots killed. German aircraft production disrupted for months. Luftwaffe training program crippled by fuel shortages. Strategic air superiority shifting visibly to allies. Bobby writes Kate February 28th. Dearest Kate, just completed 6 missions in 6 days. Lost count of bombs dropped and fighters destroyed. New P-51 Mustang has changed everything. We are winning air war. I can feel it. Germans cannot replace losses. Every mission fewer fighters attack us. I have 5 missions remaining. For first time since Black Thursday, I believe I will complete tour. I believe I will come home to you and Helen. Hold that thought. I love you both more than life. Bobby. 5 missions. March through May are almost routine compared to Black Thursday. Berlin, Brunswick, Friedrichshafen, Munich, Cologne. P-51 escort entire way every time. Luftwaffe conserving strength. Germans have almost no fighters left. Mathematics that favored them in October now favor allies. America's industrial capacity produces replacements faster than Germany can destroy them. Germany's losses cannot be replaced because pilots and fuel and time all run out simultaneously. May 12th brings Mission 25. Final mission. Crew knows, ground crew knows, squadron knows. Kate's Courage knows art includes 24 bombs painted. We'll add 25th tonight if they return. Target Cologne rail yards. Routine mission. Expected losses minimal. Briefing matter of fact. Return time predicted with confidence unimaginable in October. Bobby's crew assembled. Grant survived big week. Chen original crew 25 missions. Jackson wounded once recovered 25 missions. O'Brien original crew 25 missions. Kowalski original crew 25 missions. Murphy wounded once recovered 25 missions. Sullivan original crew 25 missions. Harrison original crew 25 missions. Newball turret gunner replacing Rodriguez. 9 men who survived when so many did not. Mission proceeds routinely. P-51 escort. Light flak. No fighters. Bomb drop. Turn home. Land safely 1,600 hours. Bobby shuts down engines. Sits in cockpit. Grant says, "We made it, Captain." We actually made it. Bobby thinks about Bill Morrison. About Rodriguez. About 60 bombers on Black Thursday. About every empty bunk and folded flag and telegram to families. We made it. Too many did not. But sitting here breathing and bleeding and broken means something. Means doctrine can work when supported adequately. Means innovation matters. Means surviving gives you responsibility to make it mean something. Ground crew paints 25th bomb on Kate's Courage. Squadron throws party. Bobby gets drunk. Cries for Morrison. For Rodriguez. For everyone who died so he could live. O'Brien sits beside him in darkness outside barracks. "Captain, it is not your fault you survived." Bobby knows logically that is true. But knowing and feeling are different. Why me and not them? O'Brien has no answer because there is no answer. No fault, no reason. Just war. Just randomness. You did your job. You kept us alive. That is all you could do. Bobby voice breaking. Was it enough, O'Brien? Steady. We are here. We are alive. That is victory. June 1st, 1944 brings orders home. Tour complete. 25 missions. Rotation stateside. Bobby and surviving original crew receive papers. Grant stays with new crew. Kate's Courage assigned to new pilot. Bobby walks out to aircraft one final time. Touches nose where Kate's face is painted. Touches each bomb symbol. 25 missions. Thinks about Bill Morrison, who flew first mission and died on fourth. Thinks about how aluminum and rivets and paint kept them alive through impossible odds. How something mechanical became sacred through shared survival. O'Brien finds him standing there. Saying goodbye, Captain Bobby nods. She kept us alive. Took hits. Lost engines. Brought us home every time. O'Brien gentle. She is just aluminum and rivets, sir. You kept us alive. Your decisions. Your flying. Bobby disagrees quietly. I flew. She carried. We both did our part. That is how survival works. Everyone doing their part and luck favoring you just enough. Transport ship crosses Atlantic in 11 days. Reverse of deployment journey, but different men now, aged beyond years. Seen things that cannot be unseen. Changed by violence and loss and mathematics of survival. Chen asks what Bobby will do stateside. Hug my wife. Hold my daughter. Try to forget. Chen quiet. Can you forget, Bobby? Honest. No, but I can try. We'll spend rest of life trying. Trying to forget Morrison's blood. Rodriguez's screams. 60 bombers falling. Will fail at forgetting but must try anyway because remembering everything means going mad. June 15th arrives with New York Harbor visible. Statue of Liberty rising green against blue sky. America. Home. Safety bought with blood of 26,000 airmen who will never see this sight. Bobby stands at rail thinking about Morrison, who should be here. About Rodriguez, who is here but diminished. About how geography separates living from dead, but memory keeps them present anyway. Guilt is constant companion now. Will be for rest of life. Survivor's guilt that has no cure because surviving when others died has no logic and therefore no resolution. Train crosses country toward Ohio. Bobby watches landscape thinking about how it looks different from 20,000 feet, where everything is targets or terrain or threats. At ground level, America is farms and towns, and people living ordinary lives untouched directly by war happening ocean away. Helen does not know her father flew 25 missions, does not know men died so she could grow up free. She is 2 years old, knows only that daddy went away and now returns. That is enough. That is everything. June 18th, 1944. Dayton train station. Kate waiting. Holding Helen, who has grown in a year. Bobby was gone. Helen does not remember father. Sees stranger in uniform. Shy. Uncertain. Kate crying. Bobby, you are home. You are really home. They embrace, Bobby holding Kate and Helen, crying, all tension of year releasing, all fear, all grief, everything compressed into a moment of reunion that feels both eternal and insufficient. Helen asks why Mama's crying. Happy tears, baby. Daddy is home. Bobby kneels, eye level with Helen, touches her face with wonder. Hi, Helen. I am your daddy. I have been far away fighting so you can be safe. But I am home now. I am staying home. Helen studies him, reaches out, touches ribbons on uniform. Daddy, yes, baby. Daddy. Helen hugs him. Bobby holds daughter thinking about Morrison, who will never hold his children, about Rodriguez, who came home maimed, about how this moment was bought with their sacrifice, and he will spend rest of life trying to deserve it. First night home, everything feels wrong. Too quiet, too safe, too normal. Bobby jumps at car backfire, cannot sleep. Nightmares of Morrison dying, explosions, falling bombers, wakes screaming. Kate holds him, says nothing. Just holds him when terror makes sleep impossible. This will be patterned for months, for years. For rest of life, actually, though nightmares will become less frequent. We'll learn to function despite them. We'll learn that surviving means carrying ghosts and making peace with fact, that peace is impossible. Kate cooks exactly what she promised 3 years ago. Sunday dinner, same as June 1941. Different world ago. Fried chicken crispy and golden from cast iron skillet. Corn on cob with butter melting into kernels. Mashed potatoes smooth and rich from real cream. Apple pie still warm, cinnamon smell filling small kitchen. Normal American family dinner. But Bobby cannot eat. Hands shaking, staring at chicken. Kate asks what is wrong. Bobby voice hollow. Morrison loved fried chicken. Talked about his mother's recipe all the time. Said first thing he would do after war was eat her cooking. He died before tasting it again. And here I am, eating this. Why do I get this when he does not? Kate takes his hand. Because you survived. Honor him by living well, by enjoying this, by being grateful. Bobby tries, takes bite, tastes exactly as he remembered, but different. Because Morrison's ghost sits at table, because Rodriguez lost arm, because 650 men died on Black Thursday so Bobby could eat fried chicken in Ohio. Taste of home is taste of survival, taste of guilt. Food now carries weight it never had before. Every meal is a reminder that he lives while others died, that coming home was privilege denied to thousands. That gratitude and grief are inseparable when survival is random rather than earned. July brings trip to Boston, visit Morrison's family, Patrick and Mary Morrison. 6 siblings, all wanting to know how Bill died. Bobby sits in their kitchen, Irish Catholic home, crosses on walls, photos of Bill everywhere. Young, smiling, alive in photographs, dead in Bobby's memory. Patrick asks Bobby to tell them about their son. Bobby chooses words carefully. Bill was brave, best co-pilot I ever flew with. We were on bombing run to Schweinfurt. German fighter attacked. Bill died quickly, did not suffer, saved rest of crew by staying at controls. Mary Morrison crying. Was he scared? Bobby lies because truth serves no purpose. No, ma'am. Bill was never scared. He believed in our mission, believed we were fighting for freedom. He died for that belief. Truth is, Bill was terrified every mission, joked to hide fear, died instantly, probably feeling nothing. But parents need heroic narrative. Bobby gives them that. gives them version of son's death that makes it bearable, that makes sacrifice seem meaningful rather than random. Patrick says something that Bobby will remember. "Thank you for bringing our boy home." Bobby confused. "I did not bring him home, sir. He died over there." Patrick gentle. "You brought him home in your memory, in your testimony. That is enough." Bobby gives them Bill's final letter, written before Black Thursday to be opened if he died. Family reads together, crying, grateful. Bill's letter says, "If you are reading this, I died fighting for America. I am not sad. I am proud. Tell my family I love them. Tell Bobby Hayes he was best pilot I ever flew with. Tell him to live well. That is all I ask." Bobby leaves Boston carrying Bill's words. Live well. How does one live well when survivor's guilt crushes every breath? How does making it home when friend died become anything other than cosmic injustice? No answer exists. Just imperative to trauma, to make survival mean something, to honor dead by refusing to waste life they were denied. Bobby does not know how to do that yet, but will spend decades learning. August brings trip to Los Angeles. Visit Rodriguez, age 20 now, home with family, missing left arm below elbow, living with parents, working grocery store. Rodriguez greets Bobby warmly. "Captain Hayes, you completed your tour." Bobby grips his good shoulder. "Because you protected us from ball turret Mikey. You saved us." Rodriguez shakes head. "Until I got hit and left you exposed." Bobby firm. "You fought wounded, stayed in turret with tourniquet on arm. You were brave." They walk to park, sit on bench. Rodriguez's missing arm obvious. Bobby tries not to stare. Rodriguez asks if Bobby thinks about Black Thursday. "Every day. Me too. I see that 109 coming, feel shrapnel hit, smell my blood. Then I wake up and arm is still gone." Bobby apologizes. "I am sorry, Mikey." Rodriguez cuts him off. "Why you did not shoot me? Germans did, war did, not your fault. I was pilot. Your safety was my responsibility." Rodriguez insistent. "And you got me home alive. With one arm, yes, but alive. My mother lights candle for you every Sunday. Thanks God you brought her son home." Bobby crying. "I should have protected you better." Rodriguez grips Bobby's arm with intensity. "Captain, listen to me. You did everything right. I am alive. You are alive. Morrison died, yes, but 7 of us lived. That is victory. Do not dishonor our survival by drowning in guilt." Bobby asks a question that haunts him. How do you live with it? Rodriguez's answer is simple. By living, by working, by helping my family, by making my survival mean something. You should too. Words sink in slowly. Rodriguez, at 19 with one arm, has found peace. Bobby, at 25, cannot find. Has accepted that survival requires no justification. That living well is only response to those who died. That guilt serves no one. Understanding this intellectually is different from feeling it. Bobby will work on feeling it for next 50 years. September brings job offer. Army Air Forces wants Bobby at Wright-Patterson as test pilot, his father's workplace, where Bobby grew up around aircraft. Kate asks if he will take it. Bobby uncertain. I do not know if I can fly again. Every time I see B-17, I see Morrison's blood. Hear Rodriguez screaming. Kate gentle. You do not have to fly. You can teach. You can design. Use your experience to help others. October brings decision. Bobby accepts position not as pilot but as consultant. Work with engineers designing bomber safety systems. Apply combat lessons to save future crews. First project is improved armor for cockpit. Bobby's input direct. Protect pilots from frontal attacks. That is how Morrison died. Prevent that. Engineers design reinforced nose armor, implemented in B-29's Flying Pacific. Saves lives. Each life saved justifies Bobby's survival a little bit more. Makes Morrison's death mean something beyond random violence. Second project is better turret escape mechanisms. Bobby explains Rodriguez could not escape ball turret when wounded. Design quick release system. Engineers develop improved ball turret with emergency exit. Implemented 1945. More lives saved. More meaning extracted from horror. This is how Bobby processes guilt. Through service. Through preventing others from suffering what his crew suffered. Through making survival mean something beyond just living. August 1945 brings war's end. Victory over Japan. World War II finished. 8th Air Force disbanded. Crews go home. Bobby remains at Wright-Patterson. Continues work. Never flies again as pilot. Too many ghosts in cockpit. Too many memories of Morrison dying and bombers falling and sky filled with violence. Can design aircraft, cannot fly them. That part of life ended over Schweinfurt. Family grows. Margaret born 1946. Robert Jr. born 1948. Suburban life. Bobby commutes to Wright-Patterson. Designs systems. Comes home to Kate and children. Tries to be present. Sometimes succeeds. Sometimes drifts to October 14th, 1943, and cannot return for hours. Kate learns to recognize when he is gone. Learns to give him space. Learns that loving survivor means accepting he carries pieces of war that cannot be shared. Thanksgiving becomes ritual. Every year. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie, apple pie, traditional American feast. But Bobby cannot eat without thinking. Morrison loved Thanksgiving, talked about his mother's cooking, will never taste it again. Rodriguez sits at different table with one arm. 650 families have empty chairs. Bobby has full table and living children and wife who loves him. Gratitude mixes with guilt every November. Thanks God for blessings, asks forgiveness for surviving. Wonders if either emotion is appropriate or if just living is enough. Bobby Hayes and 26,000 American airmen gave everything to win air superiority over Europe. If you knew veterans like Bobby, men who served and came home and lived quietly without seeking recognition, please share their stories in comments. We want to honor greatest generation before their voices are lost forever. What story will you share? What memory will you preserve? These men deserve to be remembered, not just as statistics, as fathers, brothers, sons, friends, human beings who faced impossible odds and did their duty anyway. 1960s bring perspective. Military historians analyze World War II. Consensus emerges. P-51 Mustang was decisive weapon. Enabled daylight precision bombing. Destroyed Luftwaffe. Made D-Day possible. Bobby watches documentaries thinking one aircraft changed entire war. Innovation and adaptation beat rigid doctrine. If P-51 arrived 6 months earlier, Morrison might have lived. Rodriguez might have both arms, but cannot change past. Can only learn from it. Can only apply lessons to prevent future deaths. Can only make sacrifice mean something by refusing to repeat mistakes. 1973 brings interview with military historian coincidentally named Robert Hayes, no relation. Asks about Black Thursday, Bobby, age 54, responds carefully. Black Thursday was necessary tragedy. Proved doctrine was broken. Forced command to adapt. Without that disaster, P-51 might not have been prioritized. So Morrison and 599 others died teaching lesson we should have learned beforehand. Historian asks if it was worth it. Bobby firm, no death in war is worth it. But their deaths forced change that saved thousands after. So maybe it meant something. That is all I can hope. 1980s bring reunions. Annual gatherings of 351st Bomb Group survivors. Numbers dwindling each year. Men aging, dying naturally now instead of violently. 1985 reunion. Bobby and Chen and Jackson and O'Brien and Kowalski and Murphy and Sullivan and Harrison all alive. Original crew minus Morrison and Rodriguez. They drink. Tell stories. Remember. Honor dead. O'Brien, age 68, says we were lucky ones. Chen disagrees. Skill, not luck. Hayes was best pilot in 8th Air Force. Bobby shakes head. Luck, we all know it. Right mission, right time, right decisions, right luck. Nothing more. Jackson challenges. Does it matter? We lived. We served. We remember. That is enough. 1991 brings Rodriguez's death. Heart attack. Age 67. Los Angeles. Bobby attends funeral. Sees one armed man in casket. Remembers 19-year-old in ball turret. Eulogy Bobby gives is truth. Mikey Rodriguez was bravest man I ever knew. Fought wounded, protected crew, went home with one arm but never complained. Lived full life, worked hard, raised family. His sacrifice in war and grace after both inspire me. He told me once, make your survival mean something. I have tried, Mikey. I hope I succeeded. 1994 brings 50th anniversary of Black Thursday. October 14th, Bobby, age 75, travels to England. Memorial service at Mattingley Cemetery where Morrison is buried. Few survivors left, maybe 20 from entire mission. They stand at cemetery. Remember, chaplain reads names. All 650 killed or missing. Takes nearly 2 hours. Bobby hears Second Lieutenant William Morrison, Boston, Massachusetts, cries. After service, survivors talk. One pilot says we changed war that day. Our loss forced command to adapt. Another says we did not change anything. P-51 changed it. Bobby synthesizes both. Both true. Our loss proved doctrine failed. P-51 proved innovation succeeds. Together we won air war. But price was too high. Will always be too high. No victory justifies 650 deaths in single day. March 20th, 1995, brings Bobby's death. Age 76, home in Dayton. Kate holding his hand. Children and grandchildren present. Last words are message. Tell the crews I tried to live well. Tell Morrison I never forgot him. Tell Rodriguez his sacrifice mattered. Kate voice breaking. They know Bobby. They all know. Bobby dies thinking about October 14th, 1943. About 1,100 hours when P-47s turned back. About Morrison dying. About Rodriguez screaming. And about 400 miles home on two engines with corpse in co-pilot seat. About miracle of survival. About weight of living when others died. About 50 years trying to make it mean something. About whether he succeeded. Eyes close. Heart stops. Journey ends where it began. Dayton. City where aviation became American innovation. City where boy dreamed of flying. City where man learned that surviving means carrying ghosts and trying anyway. March 25th brings funeral. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Chapel. Military honors. Flag-draped casket. Honor guard. Rifle salute. Taps played as sun sets over Ohio. Kate, age 74, accepts folded flag. Third flag she has held. First was Morrison's that Bobby gave her and she kept. Second was Rodriguez's sent when he died, now Bobby's. 3 flags representing 3 lives connected by October 14th, 1943, connected by survival and sacrifice and mathematics that determined who lived and died. Helen Hayes, age 53, gives eulogy. My father flew 25 combat missions, survived when 60% of bomber crews did not, came home and never bragged, never sought recognition, just worked quietly designing systems that saved lives. He told us once, I lived because others died. I owe them my best. He gave his best. Every day. For 50 years, that is his legacy. Not missions flown, not bombs dropped, not even systems designed, but life lived with purpose, with gratitude, with determination to make survival mean something. Chen, age 75, speaks. Captain Hayes was finest pilot I ever flew with. Calm under fire, smart under pressure. Kept us alive through skill and luck and determination. He carried guilt for surviving, but he should not have. He earned survival by being excellent at his job. I am alive today because Bobby Hayes was my pilot. My children exist because he made right decisions in impossible circumstances. Thank you, Captain. Rest well. You earned it. Jack Mitchell, P-51 pilot, age 75, speaks. I met Bobby Hayes January 1944. He was broken man after Black Thursday. Told me he did not think he would survive. But then P-51 arrived. We escorted his missions, kept Luftwaffe away. Bobby completed tour, went home. Lived full life. That is what P-51 was for. To give men like Bobby fighting chance. I am proud we succeeded. Fair winds, Bobby. You were one of good ones. 4 P-51 Mustangs fly overhead. Missing man formation, one breaks off. Climbs into clouds. Symbolic of Bobby joining those who went before. Crowd watches. Some crying. Veterans saluting. Understanding, symbol. Understanding that every generation loses heroes. That remembering them is sacred duty. That telling their stories keeps them alive in a way that matters. Burial at Dayton National Cemetery. Bobby buried with military honors next to empty plot reserved for Kate. Headstone simple. Robert Hayes, 1st Lieutenant USAAF. March 15, 1919 to March 20, 1995. B-17 pilot. 351st Bomb Group. flew 25 missions, came home, lived well. 4 lines summarizing 76 years. Accurate, complete, insufficient. Because how do you summarize man who survived Black Thursday and spent 50 years making it mean something? How do you capture weight of carrying Morrison's death and Rodriguez's sacrifice? How do you explain that living when others died became burden and purpose simultaneously? You cannot. You just mark grave and remember and tell story so others understand what was given and what was lost and what endures. October 14th, 2024, 80th anniversary of Black Thursday, RAF Polebrook, now civilian airfield. Memorial service, historians, veterans' families, aviation enthusiasts. Helen Hayes, age 82, attends representing father, brings artifacts. Bobby's flight jacket with bloodstains still visible. Kate's photograph taped to instrument panel all those years. Father's compass carried every mission. Morrison's flag kept by Bobby 50 years. Display shows Kate's courage combat record. 25 missions, 147 combat hours. 14 German fighters damaged or destroyed by crew. 2 casualties. 247 holes from flak and fighters. 3 engines replaced, never failed to return from mission. Record of survival against odds. Historian gives speech. Black Thursday, October 14th, 1943, was darkest day in 8th Air Force history. 60 bombers lost, 650 casualties. Doctrine failed catastrophically, but failure taught lessons. Forced adaptation. Prioritized P-51 Mustang development. Changed fighter tactics. Within 4 months, air superiority shifted decisively to Allies. Men like Robert Hayes survived Black Thursday carrying guilt. Why them and not others? No answer, just randomness of war. But they used survival well, designed better aircraft, taught new pilots, honored fallen through living purposefully. P-51 Mustang was technological marvel, but men were moral marvel. They flew into impossible odds. Many died, some survived. Those who survived made it mean something. That is legacy, not just aircraft or tactics or statistics, but human courage and resilience and determination to make sacrifice matter. That is what we remember today. Helen speaks final words. My father flew 25 missions because P-51 Mustang gave him chance to survive. But he lived 50 more years because he chose to make survival mean something. He designed safety systems. He helped others. He never forgot those who died. He carried their memory with grace and humility. Black Thursday killed 650 men, but their deaths forced change that saved thousands after. That is not redemption. Nothing redeems war deaths, but it is meaning, and meaning is all we can ask from tragedy. My father would say, remember the fallen honor, the living learn the lessons, never repeat the mistakes. That is how we make history matter. P-51 Mustang flies overhead, silver against blue sky. Symbol of innovation that changed war. Symbol of human ingenuity, defeating rigid doctrine. Symbol of hope that arrived just in time for men like Bobby Hayes. Engine sound fades, silence returns. Memorial ends, people disperse. But story continues. Continues in every pilot who learns from Black Thursday. Continues in every aircraft designed with crew safety paramount. Continues in every family that exists because grandfather survived when doctrine finally worked. Continues in memory that refuses to let sacrifice become mere statistic. October 14th, 1943. 60 bombers fell from sky over Germany. 650 men died or were captured. American doctrine failed catastrophically. But failure taught what success never could. Adaptation matters. Innovation matters. Long-range fighter escort matters. Lives matter more than theory. P-51 Mustang arrived January 1944. By May, air superiority belonged to Allies. D-Day became possible. Victory became inevitable. 26,000 American airmen died winning that victory. Their sacrifice earned freedom. Their legacy endures in a world they never saw but made possible through blood and courage and refusal to surrender despite impossible odds. Robert Hayes flew for them, lived for them, honored them by designing systems that saved others. He was one crew among thousands, one survivor among millions. But his story represents all who fought, all who fell, all who carried weight of survival. Black Thursday was disaster, but disaster taught lessons that changed history. That is meaning, not glory, not redemption, just hard-earned wisdom bought with blood and carried forward by those who lived to remember, by those who refused to let sacrifice become meaningless, by those who understood that surviving when others died creates obligation. Obligation to live well, to make it mean something, to never forget. Bobby Hayes met that obligation for 50 years, every day, until Journey ended where it began, home in Dayton, where aviation became American innovation, where boy who dreamed of flying became man who learned that surviving means more than just living, means honoring dead by refusing to waste life they were denied. That is legacy worth preserving. That is story worth telling. That is memory that must not fade, not while anyone remains who understands what was given, what was lost, what endures despite everything.